Our homes are meant to provide protection and comfort.
But a Georgia man says he lost that sense of security after the home he owned for decades was suddenly stolen.
It's known as title theft or deed fraud, where criminals use phony identification and forged signatures to transfer a deed to a different name.
Our investigation uncovered that before a 2025 law change, a legal loophole made deed fraud possible in the state of Georgia.
Reporter Sierra Cummings has been digging into this for years and joins us now to explain how exposing the issue helped change a state law.
Before January 2025, Georgia state law allowed anyone to file or transfer a deed to a house without actually having to prove they owned the home. Since no identification was required, fraudsters exploited the loophole, stealing the titles and transferring ownership of the home to themselves.
I feel more disappointed.
We first met Robert Elder in 2024. The now 87-year-old had already lost his late wife, his sight, then his home, one he owned for more than 50 years.
Since the early 70s.
In 2023, someone filed not one, but 3 different deeds on Robert's home. First in July, then again in August with updated wording labeled corrective deed, and once more in September. All transferred Robert's house to someone else. None of the signatures matched the way he signed his name, as shown in other official documents. The blind grandfather says he cannot sign his name straight on a signature line. In a civil suit, Robert accused his former stepson, Tory Elder, of being involved. We tried tracking down Tory, ultimately getting him on the phone.
So how did his name get on this deed? How did his name get on this deed?
Despite Tory denying the claims back then, in August, the court signed a judgment to Tory, agreed to by both parties, which says the court found fraud, larceny, and malicious injury, ordering him to pay his dad $136,000 in damages.
You're trying to move on. What does moving on look like?
It looked kind of dull right now because
This is not a win to Robert because he says it feels like a loss of family.
some form of apologize for doing that, coming and all, that would be a way toward healing.
So if he apologizes, you'll have some kind of response to him?
I would have some kind of response to it. Mm-hmm.
In this case, the son was not the only defendant named in the lawsuit. The suit also accused a buyer and their mortgage company of wrongdoing. Both denied the claims. As part of a settlement agreement between Robert, the buyer, and the buyer's mortgage company, the specific claims against the buyer and their mortgage company were dropped and dismissed. But the buyer and their mortgage company will make a single payment to Robert, the 6-figure value of his home. Robert's attorney, Rick Allenbeck.
Is it an emotionally satisfying case? Would you like to see people go to jail? Certainly. But that's just not the way the system works.
There are no criminal charges filed against any defendant, only the civil lawsuit, which originally sought to get the house back. But when they learned the inside had been gutted, they settled with the value of the property instead.
Prosecutors, solicitors, district attorneys, they don't prosecute these cases, even though they're crimes. People's homes and investments and their lives, their wealth are tied up in homes, and these are not treated as crimes. So it would be nice to see people go to prison for this kind of conduct.
So Robert will receive 2 payments, one from his son in which the judge ordered it, and the second payment from the 2 other defendants in that settlement, the buyer and the mortgage company. Under new Georgia law, which was in effect at the time of the settlement, if a person is convicted or found responsible in civil court for forged deeds, at minimum, they're required to pay all damages and the victim's attorney's fees. In this case, the new law wasn't tested because there was no trial or a jury. Now, identification is required to file or transfer a deed on a home, in part because of our reporting. In Atlanta, I'm Sierra Cummings.